Dearest gentle listener, welcome back to Big Blonde and Beautiful Podcast. If you're new here, my name's Carolina, and each week I pick a piece of media without representation in it, and I discuss whether or not I think it's positive or negative. This week we're going to be talking about Bridgerton, Season 3. And I promise that's the last time No, I don't promise that's the last time I'll use that accent. Alright. In case you haven't been keeping up with the Bridgerton cinematic universe, I'm gonna give you guys a little synopsis about the show. Alright. So Bridgerton is a Netflix drama series that follows the lives of the Bridgerton siblings as they navigate Regency-era London's competitive marriage market and find love. This show is set in 1813 and offers a glimpse into the lives of the highborn, with gilded homes and well-dressed pedestrians. This third season follows the storyline of Penelope Featherington and Colin Bridgerton, a classic friends to lovers trope. I know what some of you might be thinking. You're thinking, but Kara, Nicola isn't plus size. And you would be correct. But the waters get a little muddy in this situation. So allow me to explain. If you compare her body type to the women who have been the love interests in the previous two seasons, like the woman who played Daphne and the woman who played Kate in season 1 and 2, her body shape is different. She's shorter and she's got more curves. But she has made it public that her clothing size is a size 10 in the US. And that is not plus size. That is actually on the skinnier side of mid-size. Mid-size ranges about a size 10 to 16, and then 16 and up is considered plus size. So she's like barely mid-size. But I think this does open up an interesting conversation because so many plus size audience members like myself have been ecstatic to see Nicola like being the lead, being sexy, getting the guy. We've all loved to watch her do that. But she's not plus size, but yet she still is considered plus size representation by a lot of people. And I think that just shows how desired actual plus size romantic positive representation is. Like, we want it. We need it. And so, when you aren't exactly getting it, you're kind of grasping at straws at this point. So I've always been a huge fan of Nicola. She's definitely mid-sized. I can't imagine, especially with how fat people are treated, being called fat multiple times or plus size when she doesn't even shop in the plus size section. So I'm sure that label, being labeled as something that you don't identify with must be very exhausting, and being labeled in such a public way. So I definitely think that we need to stop calling Nicola plus size because, girl, she's not. Despite the fact that she is barely mid-size, I still found it very beautiful and a step in the right direction to see her as the sexy, romantic love interest of the coveted Colin Bridgerton. Let's focus a little bit on the season itself. I kind of felt like it was missing something. And I can't, necessarily put my finger on it, because I know that it had, less spicy sex scenes in this season than it had in previous seasons, and even in Queen Charlotte. I almost said Queen Victoria. But I don't necessarily know if that's what was lacking. I wouldn't be mad if there was another scene with Colin and Penelope. But she did bear all, which she wanted to do. And I commend her for that. 1,000%. Because it takes a lot of guts. That's all I'm saying. But so I don't really know what's lacking. If it was the storyline, I know they had some new crew. I can't remember if it was a new producer or something like that. But I did think that it was shot beautifully. Like, the cinematography was amazing. I was watching the new season with one of my really good friends, Mackenzie, and when it got to the spicy scene with Nicola and oh my gosh, and Luke, I keep switching their names. I'm just gonna say with Penelope and Colin, when it got to that spicy scene, she was like, they kind of look like a gorgeous oil painting, and I have to agree, like, it was literally art. It looked so good and so well, like, shot. Beautiful. No complaints here on that. One thing, though, that kept making me laugh throughout the second part of the season was Penelope's basically hyperventilating about Colin figuring out her secret. Like, they kept the camera on her way too long. She was trying her hardest. But there are, like, compilations out there of, like, Penelope hyperventilating for, like, a minute straight. And it's because they kept the camera on her too long. Like, she was trying. She was trying to give us what we needed, and they needed to be like, we don't need that much of her, like, freaking out and having a panic attack, okay? Okay. Like, give our girl a break. As usual, the entire cast is incredible. Nothing surprising there. All the cast is so multi-talented, and they're always amazing to watch. Can we briefly get into the Featherington sisters? I feel like they really shine this season. Whoever was in charge of wardrobe and hair and makeup, they stepped it up for everybody. But I could really tell it with the Featherington sisters, and, like, their storyline and their personalities got to shine through more. Like, I'm absolutely in love with Philippa. I think she's one of my new favorite characters in the whole series. Like, I love how much of a bimbo she is. And just those moments are so, like, wholesome and funny. Like, of course, the iconic inserts himself. Inserts himself where?
Inserts himself.
Inserts himself? Inserts himself where?
Is so funny. We kiss, and then he makes a weird noise, and then he goes and cleans his trousers, switches his trousers, or whatever she says. So funny. And then at the end, when the sisters throw the ball, and she has her bugs, she's so happy about her bugs. And it's just like,
I didn't know there were going to be butterflies. Like I said, bugs. You are a genius. I know.
I don't really like bugs, but I'm glad that you got your bugs, okay? I just love everything about her. All right. Also, let's talk about a different Bridgerton man this season, other than Colin. My guy Benedict. I have always been a Benedict stan. Since season 1, he's been my favorite brother. And this season, just, like, he was the bisexual / pansexual king that we needed. And I'm here for it. You know, he was getting it the whole season. First with the widow, and then with the widow and her little male friend. And then he's like, I want to explore more. And I said, you do that. I mean, you're really fumbling the ball with her because she's absolutely gorgeous, but you do that. You know? Also, I wanted to briefly mention a background plus size queen that deserves the attention. Y'all, the fact that she only has what? Let me look. Let's see. Also, if you see my cat's tail, I'm sorry. She only has a little less than 1,500 followers on Instagram. We need to get on that. Cecily Hope, who played, let's see, Miss Kenworthy. She had a few lines here and there. My cat's tail. She had a few lines here and there, and she looked gorgeous. And I really wish that she could have been on the podcast. I did reach out to her, but she's probably, busy booking her next gig. So it's fine. It's whatever. I can do this by myself. But, like, girl, if you ever hear this, I would love to chat about your time on Bridgerton. She deserves the real attention for being the plus size queen that we needed. And she really is plus size. So, yeah. Also, something else I want to talk about in terms of body image. something that has bothered me since season 2 of this show is the sort of transformation that the Bridgerton men make for their season. I do agree with the mutton chop slander. The chops gotta go. They're not cute. It's not a good look on anyone. I mean, look at Kevin Jonas. We all thought that man wasn't it. And you know why? It's because of the chops. It's because of the mutton chops. They are to blame. So the mutton chops, they're good to go. My issue is they very obviously like become leaner and more muscular. And I feel like that's kind of perpetuating unrealistic beauty standards for men that I feel is unnecessary. Like, I would have been fine with seeing season 1 Colin minus the mutton chops in this season. I just feel like, I know they've been talking a lot about his body, and so I don't want to linger on it too long, but I just feel like it was unnecessary. I thought that he looks great now, but I thought that he looked great before. And same thing with Anthony. Like, I thought that he looked great before. Like I said, minus the mutton chops. The chops. I guess, no. No, why were they there? That truly is the question. If anyone has an answer, let me know. I just feel like we didn't get enough of Colin and Penelope. I feel like we got too much of the Lady Whistledown story of like, when's she gonna tell him? Is she gonna tell him? How's he gonna find out? I feel like it dragged on way too long, and that we should have seen more of them married. Maybe that's what was missing. Now that I'm talking about it and thinking it through, I think that might have been what was missing, is we got to see a lot of the other couples after they were married, and not so much of this one. Like, they just, like, boom, had a baby at the end. We're going to transition to talking about some of the outside discourse around the season of Bridgerton, and specifically as Nicola, as a love interest. There has been some positive things, as we know, but there always is negativity. And specifically, there was this horrid article written by Zoe Strimple at The Spectator. And it was awful, to say the least. Basically, she said in her article that it was a fantasy that someone that looks like Nicola would be the love interest. She talks about like the blind racial castings. There's a lot of mixed race couples, which would not have happened back then. And a lot of noble people are Black, and that also would not have happened. But she says that is actually more realistic than having a fat love interest. And she calls Nicola fat multiple times in that article. And if you know me, you know I do not have a problem with the word fat, as long as it is used mainly by fat people and in a neutral or even positive way. This was definitely used in a negative way. It was used to bash her and basically call her ugly and unbuckable. And it was completely disgusting. Tried to read her article, but of course, you had to subscribe and pay. And I'm like, I'm not paying money to this news outlet that not only allowed this woman to say this, but like published it. And I'm not giving money so that I can read this horrible article. I'm just going to read this little bit from Reddit that I received. Let's see. They said, "Reader, she is not hot, and there is no escaping it. As I was reminded recently when she graced Harper's Bazaar cover in a fabulous outfit that still did not change her not hotness. Coughlan is an actress of great value and might be adored, but she is simply not plausible as the friend who would catch the handsome, rich aristocrat Colin Bridgerton's eye in that way. She's not shapely, which can work as sexy even in Hollywood. She's fat. There's nothing wrong with fat. It's hardly a moral shortcoming, but a zest for equality and diversity just isn't enough to make a fat girl who wins the prince remotely plausible. In the cruel visual somatics of the scene, of the screen, poor plump Penelope may be set up to win her man, but will she win her audience? The jury, dear reader, is out. Guess what? The jury's in, and she did win her audience, and she's gorgeous, and she's not fat. She's mid-sized, and even if she was fat, she's still gorgeous, and you need to shut the fuck up. That's how I feel about that. And there's a lot of people that agreed in that Reddit comments that she was just being ugly and hateful. So the assumption that fat people don't and can't find love and can't have great sex is crazy. Fat people do both of those things all the time. And one good thing about being fat is we kind of have a built-in asshole filter because of our appearance. Like, we can tell by how someone's treating us what type of person they are. And, you know, obviously if they're being fatphobic, we're not going to be with them. Reading this article and seeing the constant comments on her appearance is truly not surprising. That's why Nicola asked to bear it all for her sex scene, because she wanted to show people like that her body is not theirs to comment on or to control, and that she is proud of it. And I have to commend her for that. I think Nicola is not only a gorgeous person, but has an incredible personality. She's very funny and just a big heart. She's even using the media attention to bring more awareness to what's happening in Palestine, and I respect her so much for that. So, not that she needs me to plug her, but please, if you haven't watched her season of Bridgerton, go watch it. Watch Dairy Girl. She's phenomenal in that. And go see her new show called Big Mood on Tubi, and it's literally free. So what are you doing? Not watching it. That's all I have to say. It has come time for the positive versus the negative. I think it's positive mid-size representation. I think that it showed that audiences are open to having bigger people be the love interest, even like fat people, because Nicola's not fat. She has on multiple occasions been the bigger person in the cast, like in Dairy Girls. She was considered the plus size cast, and she's what's known as entertainment fat, where like in the entertainment industry, she's fat, but in reality, she's really not. But yeah, I think it's very positive, and I think we just need to keep moving forward. I believe that is all for this episode. Thank you all for listening. Please follow, like, rate us 5 stars, share, so that we can be pushed into the algorithm so that more people see and hear this podcast. As always, you can follow the podcast on TikTok at bbb.thepodcast and Instagram at bbb.podcast. You can follow me, your host, on all social media at Carolina Howie. That's Carolina with a K. And until next time, stay fat and fabulous. Bye.